There was this one time when I thought I was in love, but it wasn't love. It was limerence. I am Pauline, and I am so happy you were here because on this channel we talk about the fearful avoidant attachment style, and part of being a fearful avoidant is having images of what love is that are not serving you and not helping and not true. So I thought, little story time. That one time I thought I was absolutely the most in love I had ever been, and it wasn't love at all. Because what happened was that there was this guy. This was in the States, actually. I lived in America when I was 18 for a year. And he asked me out, and I thought, why not? I was actually more interested in one of his basketball buddies, but he was just a nice guy, I thought. So this was, by the way, in the time that I was super duper 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 insecure, and I tried to fill an enormous void by getting attention from guys. Not necessarily doing anything with them, just getting attention. I was like always texting 6 to 7 guys, not even noticing that I was doing that. I just had this need for attention. So I said yes to that date, and we just hung out in my dorm room, which for Americans this is very normal to say, but for for a Dutch person, which I am, dorm room still sounds like the American movies. And it was fun. Like, we watched some basketball movie or documentary because I love basketball, still do, but was pretty obsessed back then. And yeah, we just had a really nice conversation, and then it was time to kind of end the date, and pretty arrogantly I thought he was going to try to kiss me, and he didn't, and he walked away, and he didn't look back. And in that moment I became obsessed. I became absolutely obsessed. So before that, I was in this, oh yeah, I don't know, yeah, he's okay. Don't really think I'd like to date him, really. The moment he rejected me, I was in love. And I have reflected on this obsession, because that's what it was, for months, for so long. And I will get into the very humiliating details of this in a moment, of this months long obsession. But I have reflected on this so much, because for a while I really truly thought that this was what being in love was, and that's what it felt like. And even my parents were like, oh, you are really in love with him, aren't you? Because I just couldn't stop talking about him, even though we only had one date and I never talked to him again. What I did do, however, was stalk him, pretty much, around campus, coincidentally running into him, knowing when he had basketball practice and when he had certain classes, which led me to one time run into him on campus. And then he started talking to a girl, and it kind of was like a flirtatious conversation. And somehow I was just so incredibly embarrassed to be there. Don't know why. Maybe because my hair wasn't perfect or something like that, that I jumped in the bushes, and then I sat there for, I think, 45 minutes while they were talking. So the chronological order of this is wrong. He was walking towards me. I realized I wasn't looking perfect. Maybe that was like the one time I coincidentally ran into him, not planned by me. And so I jumped in the bushes, and then he ran into that girl and started talking to her really close by, like I think 2 meters. I don't know what that is in American yards, whatever. Feet. 9 feet? 10 feet? Away from me. And I was in those bushes, barely hidden by the bushes. My legs started cramping, my calves and my ankles. And I just felt absolutely worthless. It really was one of the low points of my life. I thought, what the freak am I doing here? Why am I sitting here behind these bushes feeling like an absolute loser? And I kind of overheard their conversation, not really completely. And it was torture, really, for 45 minutes, emotional teenage torture. Um, it was really bad. And then I heard them like saying goodbye, and he walked away. And I just kind of shuffled my way around that bush so that he wouldn't see me. I don't think he did. Thank goodness. Imagine that. And then I got up and went to class, and I just did not understand myself why I was just so obsessed with him, because this was after about 3 months of him not noticing me, not contacting me at all, not talking to me whatsoever. And the interesting thing was that for all those months, I think it took about 5 months. 5 months of my life I dedicated to that boy. Thinking, what did I do wrong? What in heaven's name did I do wrong? And I thought of everything, every single thing that I could have. I thought, oh, maybe I didn't look good enough. Maybe my breath stank. Maybe my room wasn't clean enough. Maybe I don't know. I just I thought every single reason he would reject me went through my mind. And I didn't get an answer to that until after I had released him, because I realized that, he was just a boy doing his best, and I made him the god of my approval, and that was just not his place. He was just a boy. And that kind of helped me release it after months and months of obsessing, so also kind of being fed up with myself about how pathetic I was being. And then through a mutual friend, after I think like 9 months, I heard that the reason he never wanted to go on a second date, or just kind of didn't talk to me anymore, was because I said something about his roommate, which was probably judgmental, because I was very judgmental in that time. And I didn't even notice. It was just a passing remark for me. But I said something about his roommate, and he was just a very loyal guy. And he didn't like that I said that about his roommate. That's completely okay. Totally logical, because they were friends, and who was I? So after obsessing for 5 months about what could be wrong with me, all this, I picked myself apart, all of it. It was a completely different reason. And I learned so much from that. That situation was one of my greatest teachers in being insecure, not living life according to my values, not being in alignment with myself, but completely giving all of my power away to a 19-year-old boy who was just doing his best and just was being loyal to his roommate. I lost myself without even being in a relationship, just by being rejected by him, feeling rejected by him. And I thought for 5 months that I was just completely in love with him. But this was just a dynamic that I was so used to being rejected, to being not good enough, to being picked apart and being judged and criticized. And therefore it felt familiar, and it felt like, okay, so if I can get his approval, I mean, he has the ability to reject me, obviously. And so when I get his approval, then I'll be good enough. And so I put all my power in his hands and wanted his approval so bad. I think I may have actually told this story before, but it was just, it was such a pivotal moment for me. And it was, looking back, such a clear um, playing out of my fearful avoidant attachment style in unrequited love, because I created those highs and lows myself without having a partner at all. uh, so yeah, I learned a lot, and I thought it was being in love, but looking back on it, it had nothing to do with love. I did not love him at all. I wasn't in love with him. I was just obsessed with getting approval and attention. Obsessed with it. And I was chasing that high of approval. I was addicted to the adrenaline rush of being rejected and wanting that approval. And I was pretty committed to it. I'm not a quitter. It took 5 months. Yeah, but obviously that was so silly, and it influenced everything for 5 months. I was not really able to function for 5 months. I skipped classes and everything. Uh, it was just, yeah. So it had nothing to do with love. It had absolutely nothing to do with love. And that just still kind of baffles me when I look back on it. I was convinced that this was love, and it just wasn't. It was obsession. It was obsession with approval. Okay, please let me know in the comments below if you if you have a story like this, or that I am the only one that made an absolute fool of myself for so long, Yeah, I really would like to know. And I am just so thankful and grateful that I've healed, and that I haven't grown up and matured in other toxic dynamics, but that I actually found my self-worth and found that I was good enough, and that I healed, and that I now have an actual um, experience of love, which is just amazing and rich and loving and kind and peaceful. And I wish that boy, his name was Brian, nothing but the best. And yeah, it's he has been one of my greatest teachers. He has no idea. He probably does not know I exist anymore. But please, okay, let me know in the comments below if you have a story like this, and please share. Please share. As always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.